Most people can't unfold and use their Z Fold 8 Ultra with one hand without risking the hinge. We pulled the accessories built specifically for that grip: strap cases, kickstand cases, magnetic mounts, and only one actually let us open it, hold it, and type without our thumb doing gymnastics. I'll show you which one wins. But first, the ones that only get you halfway there. FNTCASE 360-degree magnetic kickstand case. We're opening with the case that swaps a physical grip for a magnetic one. The FNTCASE case is built exclusively for the Z Fold 8 Ultra. This specific as isn't a shared Fold 7 listing, and it pairs MagSafe compatibility with a 360-degree rotating magnetic ring that works as a finger grip, a hanging hook, and a kickstand, depending on how you angle it. The brand states 20 feet military-grade drop protection. Read that as a brand self-claim. The listing doesn't name a mil-SD number or cite independent lab testing, so treat military grade here as marketing shorthand for passed our internal drop testing, not a certified standard. It also includes dedicated hinge protection, which matters more on a foldable than on a slab phone. The hinge is the part that actually fails first if a case doesn't wrap it. On the magnet side, I want to be precise. This exact listing doesn't publish a gram force number for its magnetic pull. A different FNTCASE case that shares the same product family does cite a specific figure, but that's a separate AN with a shared Fold 7 compatibility note, not this one. So for this case, the honest claim is qualitative. It's built around a magnetic ring strong enough to hold to MagSafe chargers, car mounts, and power banks. If you want a measured hold strength comparison for the video, the back texture is non-slip, useful for the pocket friction trade-off, since a grippier back means less sliding on a car dash, but slightly more drag going into a tight pocket. There's also the ring itself to think about on a flat surface. A 360-degree magnetic ring sits proud of the back panel by design. That's how it rotates. So if you're someone who sets your phone face up on a desk while you're on a call, the ring becomes the new pivot point instead of the camera bump. Whether that actually causes wobble depends on ring height and placement, which isn't something the listing spells out in measurements. Button feel isn't specified either. Some cases in this category use independent floating covers that preserve the phone's native click. Others mold the cover directly over the button, which tends to soften the feedback. The FNTCASE listing doesn't say which approach it uses, so treat button tactility here as an open question rather than something we can confirm one way or the other. Verdict. The pick for anyone whose one-handed use case is really hands-free most of the time. Car mounts, desk stands, quick magnetic swaps. Just don't lean on military grade as a certified durability number. It's the brand's own claim, not a third-party test result, and the port/button details are genuinely unconfirmed until someone tests the physical unit. DOOTOO finger strap case with S Pen slot, full clear. This one drops the magnet entirely and goes back to basics. The DOOTOO case gives you a back-mounted finger strap, a built-in front screen protector, full hinge coverage, and a dedicated slot for the S Pen. So, functionally, it checks the boxes you'd expect from a strap case built for this exact device. Here's where it thins out. The listing doesn't cite any drop certification. No mil-STD number, no third-party test result, nothing beyond protection in the marketing copy. That's not a knock on durability so much as a transparency gap. We can't tell you it survives a specific drop height because the brand hasn't published one. If you want that number for the video, that's a real-world test on your end. The clear back is the other thing to flag. Nothing in the listing claims an anti-yellowing treatment, no named additive, no UV-resistant PC blend. So this is standard clear TPU/PC territory, and standard clear material ambers under sunlight and pocket heat over months of daily carry. There's also no MagSafe or magnetic charging support mentioned anywhere in the listing, a direct contrast to the magnetic pick we just covered. If your one-handed routine includes snapping the phone onto a magnetic car mount while you're holding it with the strap, this case opts open you out of that entirely. The strap gets you a grip, but not a mount. Verdict: the entry point for anyone who just wants a real finger strap, a real screen protector, and a real S Pen slot without spending up. But with no published drop rating and no magnetic accessory support, it's the case you outgrow the moment you want to mount the phone hands-free. That's the trade-off so far: magnet with no strap, or strap with no magnet. The next case tries to close that gap a different way, dropping the strap but keeping the phone genuinely propped and stable, no hand required at all. OWKEY magnetic case with adjustable stand. This case takes the magnetic mount idea from earlier and strips it down to fewer moving parts. The OWKEY case is MagSafe compatible, has full-body hinge protection, and ships in a translucent matte finish. No clear and yellowing risk here, since matte polycarbonate doesn't show discoloration the way glossy clear plastic does. The trade-off is the grip mechanism itself. Instead of a strap or a rotating ring, OWKEY uses a built-in adjustable stand as the one-handed anchor point. You prop it against your palm or a surface rather than looping a finger through anything. That's a real difference in how one-handed plays out day to day. A strap keeps the phone attached to your hand even if you let go, while a stand only helps once the phone is already resting against something. Like the FNTCASE pick, OWKEY's military-grade drop protection language isn't tied to a published MIL-STD number in the listing. Treat it the same way, as an internal brand claim rather than a third-party certified rating. The magnetic strength also isn't published as a gram force figure, so again, qualitative description only, no invented number. Hinge protection is full body here rather than a partial cover, which is worth noting if you've had a case before that left the hinge seam exposed. That's usually the first place scuffs and dust show up on a foldable. Verdict: best for someone who wants magnetic mounting and hinge coverage without paying the pocket friction cost of a strap. But if a physical tether to your hand is the actual point of this list for you, this one's more of a prop and balance solution than a grip solution. NINKI transparent hand strap case with S Pen holder and kickstand. This is the only case in the lineup that combines a physical finger strap, an integrated adjustable angle kickstand, and a dedicated S Pen holder in one shell, which is exactly the combination this whole list is supposed to be testing for. The strap is a genuine handhold, not a stand you balance against, so it keeps the phone tethered to your hand even mid-fumble. The kickstand is described as invisible, with adjustable viewing angles, meaning it folds flush when you're not using it, instead of adding a permanent bump. For anyone who actually uses the S Pen on a foldable, the built-in holder is the differentiator over every other case here. None of the other three have anywhere to store the stylus, which means you're either pocketing it separately or leaving it home. Having it clip into the case is a real one-handed use win. Pull the phone out, the pen's already there. The catch, and it's a real one, there's no MagSafe or magnetic charging support mentioned in this listing. If the FNTCASE or OWKEY magnetic mount workflow appealed to you, this case doesn't offer it. You're back to a screen protector and shockproof shell doing the protection work, with the strap and kickstand handling the ergonomics. It's also a clear/transparent case with no named anti-yellowing treatment in the listing, so expect the same gradual ambering over months of UV and pocket heat exposure that applies to the DOOTOO pick. Verdict: the most complete one-handed toolkit in this list. Strap for the hold, kickstand for hands-free, S Pen slot for quick access, and the pick I'd default to unless magnetic mounting is a deal-breaker for you. Closing recap: best for MagSafe and car mounts, FNTCASE 360 degrees magnetic kickstand. Best budget entry with a basic strap, DOOTOO finger strap case. Best if you don't want a strap at all, OWKEY magnetic case with stand. Best overall for one-handed use, NINKI transparent hand strap with S Pen holder. If you've dropped your fold trying to unfold it one-handed, the fix isn't a thicker case. It's picking the grip mechanism that actually matches how you hold your phone. Links to all four below. Check the compatibility line on each listing before you buy, since these product families get reused across the Fold 7 and Fold 8 generations.